Minecraft, the work of Notch. Indeed, perhaps Notch has a hand in what will happen in today's episode of Minecraft. Brian playing on the Mindcrack fan server. We've reached a milestone of sorts. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the Mindcrack fan server, where I've still been staying out here in my somewhat remote mining outpost, where I've got all my farms and different things. However, I have had guests. I came out today and... Hey, Brian! Brian! What's up, man? Me and Fuff came by. You was dead. 99. Me and my dog. Tyler came by and visited me and left me a couple of signs. There's another sign that Tyler left me that we'll see a little bit later. But hello, Tyler. Glad to see you, or glad to miss you, and I'll see you on the server one of these days, I'm sure. Oh my gosh. You guys are noisy. Noisy. We are going to head off because I have something very noteworthy to show you today. Assuming it's still there. I'm pretty sure it'll still be there. We'll find out shortly. But to do so, we are going to take a portal, not back to spawn, but instead over in the direction of Highboy's shack, out in the swamp. This way to Highboy's shack. I put that sign there because Tyler had put a sign down this nether tunnel that said, this is not the way back to spawn, because when you come out the portal, there's two different directions you can go. And if you pick the wrong one, you don't go back to spawn, and he was trying to get home and got lost. Well, not terribly lost, because it's not a very long nether tunnel. I'm babbling already. Yeah, so, for those of you who've been with me for a long time, you may know that I'm not particularly big on milestones and subscriber numbers and things like that. But I do have one noteworthy milestone that's coming up. In fact, I think there's a fair chance that it will happen on this video that is going up today. Well, I'm recording this on the 29th, but I think March 30th is when this video that I'm recording now is going to air. But the milestone I'm talking about it's a pretty big one, and so that's the reason that it's good to acknowledge it, is 1 million video views. 1 million! Wow! That's amazing and humbling, and whether you're here from the beginning or have only just started watching me or seeing anything on the channel recently, I hope that you have enjoyed it over the last couple of years. I hope that I've made you laugh, or I hope that I've done things that are informative to help improve your gameplay. I see experience balls that are still left over on the ground over here. And so that makes me think that no one has been back this way since earlier today when Highboy and I were streaming together here on the Mindcrack fan server. And so, for once again, like I know watching live streams is not for everybody. It was definitely, I only watched YouTube videos for like the first year and a half before I ever kind of like even really took notice of any live streams or had anyone that I wanted to follow. But I've definitely got into it a whole lot more in the past month or two. And so yeah, Highboy was streaming on the fan server, and we were talking, and I said, hey, I'll stream with you. Let's go caving together. And so we went on a little caving adventure. And yeah, and so we were both streaming, and we found something pretty amazing. And I was thinking back to it afterwards, and I think it was basically, I need to keep the coordinates up because I need to, let's see, minus 2100. All right. A jungle will be a little bit of a walk, but that'll be good because it's got kind of the story time lead up to what's going on. But basically, after it happened, I realized, I think it was Minecraft trying to do something for me as a result of reaching this big milestone after putting up, I've got like 730 videos or so on YouTube already, and who knows how many kind of like hours of total video that turns out to be. And yeah, today I think we got an extra special reward, and so I wanted to show it to you. And I have a stream highlight that, rather than sending you somewhere else to go watch it, I'm going to edit in to this video. And so when I do that, the quality is going to be not quite as high as typical YouTube quality, because when I'm streaming, I can only do it at like 360p and not as many frames per second. But it's still not bad, and so this is just going to be a little clip that's part of the caving expedition. that Highboy and I were on together. And... oh, my X has to go a couple hundred blocks. I'm going to make a quick cut, and I will bring you guys back in shortly. Oh, there's a crafting table here. Hello. Apparently someone's been down there. All right, I'll see you guys in a moment. Here we go. I found the spot. We were caving right over here, and I saw the edge of this dungeon, and so I walked in down here, and it was another zombie dungeon, and we had just started caving, like 5 minutes prior, and it was a zombie dungeon, and so it seems like I always find a zombie dungeon. Highboy looked in this chest. There was actually an infinity book in here that he took out, but then we took a look in this chest, and rather than open it right now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut over to our discovery of this particular zombie dungeon.
Useless stuff. Oh, not far away enough.
Oh, wow. Is it 2 ravines? Hold on. All right, so there's definitely a ravine right here. And then...
yeah.
That looks like... oh, there's a dungeon right here. Right below. It's a
Really?
zombie dungeon. Wow. Every time I stream, I get like 5 minutes into the stream and find a zombie dungeon. It's uncanny.
Looks like there's
Oh! Never!
Golden apple.
Never have I ever seen this before! Here come zombies.
a legitimate
A
golden
legitimate
apple.
golden apple. You saw it here in both streams.
Well, I also
Wow.
think anything else interesting.
Wow.
But man,
Sorry, I was gonna just close it up. I want to take the coordinates of this. Wow.
legitimate golden apple.
That is the first time I've been playing for Minecraft for 2 years and change, and I've never found a golden apple in a chest until now. That is amazing.
Well, here's a little something. I kind of lied about nothing else interesting. You might like that.
Infinity 1, I actually already have an Infinity book, and so if you would like to keep it, it is yours.
Keep that for trading purposes.
I'm gonna just leave the golden apple
There are
in there
zombies
because
everywhere, goodness.
Well, if it's a zombie dungeon, there's probably still spawning through the wall right over on that side.
Oh yeah, they are.
That is crazy.
Man.
Screenshot. I should take a screenshot. That's a good idea, actually. Let me put the coordinates up on the screen.
100% legit.
So how awesome is that? A golden apple inside a chest in a dungeon. I mean, you saw my reaction at the time, and I mean, it's true. I've been playing Minecraft for forever. How many zombie dungeons have you guys seen me find? I can't tell you how many, and I'm pretty sure I don't recall ever finding that inside a dungeon before. And so that was super cool. And even though the book is gone, I think since it's still here, usually I mine up all the moss stone and, you know, take all the stuff out of the dungeon. But I think this one I'm just going to leave. And so I've got these signs on me, and so I'm just going to place a sign here to commemorate things. Alright, and I think this is suitable commemoration. March 29th, 2013, Brian and Highboy found this dungeon, look in the chests, and leave it undisturbed. And so anyone who happens to stumble upon this at a later point in time will know what happened here. Oh wow, and we had come in, yeah, we came in from over this direction. We never even explored more of this cave. Oh, I guess this just circles around to bits we explored. We ended up going caving for a couple of hours. And yeah, for those of you who are subscribed to me on Twitch, perhaps you managed to catch the live stream. And if not, and you want to see more live streams by me, by all means, go and check them out. There's a huge ravine over here, and we didn't explore kind of everything up in this ravine, and so there's definitely more to explore out here. We're pretty far away from either of our bases, though. So in any case, I just thought that that was a really special moment, at least for me, and I obviously at the time was really excited by it, and the timing is just perfect in terms of YouTube stuff. And so while I said at the beginning I don't usually do any type of, you know, like subscriber specials or view specials or whatever, this was definitely something special, and it's the perfect thing to share with you guys today. But I have some other things that I've been doing here on the Minecraft fan server, and so the video isn't just going to end here now. We are going to go do some of that. But first I'm going to have to get back to where I was, and so I'll meet you guys back over at the base, and I'll show off some other stuff that's been going on. Alright, well after a few minutes, I have finally made it back to this monstrosity, which I have put a number of hours into, and it's almost done at this point. Entrance is over there. Okay, I'll swim over there. This is the mob farm that I've been working on, and it had many flaws along the way, and so I've been able to correct most of them. Some are kind of design flaws that I think I will be unable to correct. But yeah, what do we have over here? We've got a place to do some potion brewing with some potion brewing ingredients. We've got a little watermelon farm. We've got chests full of various free loot that kind of falls out of the mob farm. We've got a full enchanting setup. We've got an anvil. We've got books in case people want to enchant books. This is another sign that I presume Tyler left about the chicken farm. And so we've got chickens in here. And actually, I brought some more seeds over, and so let's go ahead and breed the chickens. I put in the chicken farm way late as I was kind of finishing this up. If you're ever going to be working on a big build, I suggest putting in a chicken farm immediately before you get started, because if you're going to be hanging around the area for a long time, they're just so easy to breed. And I think I just got like 2 or 3 levels just like feeding them some seeds just like that. And even if you don't have seeds to feed them, you can always use eggs, and they just keep laying eggs. And so, yeah, chickens are easy to breed. And so I figured that would be... Let me walk a little ways away. Hello, chicken, you have escaped. They are still escaping, no matter what I try to do. They just glitch through the blocks. Yeah, the chickens are really easy to breed, and as a result, I figure at a mob farm / experience farm, if you just want to top off your experience, like let's say you get to level 28 or something and just need a couple more levels, you can just go breed some chickens or kill some chickens or something like that to kind of finish things off. But in any case, the way it works, it's about to turn daytime, and there's other people on the server, so the rates are not going to be good, very good right now. But in any case, I tried to make it simple. You walk up on top of this pressure plate, and that causes the mob farm to become active. We saw a bit of it in the previous episode I had here in the Minecraft fan server. It's still startling when enemies just fall down here. But basically, any of the enemies who have bred up in these breeding cells that I'm finally putting walls and a ceiling on, and we might do some finishing of that construction, they end up falling down into water streams, and they fall down into this thing. And won't have a whole lot of life left, and you can just kill them. Or you could breed some damage potions or health potions to kill them. And then all of the loot gets dropped in here. And yeah, over time it ends up being a lot of loot, especially if you happen to be the only person on the server. Now that it's daytime, I still have not put the roof in yet, and so we're hardly going to get any spawns. Although we still get occasional ones. And yeah, occasionally the fall damage, it's very random because they start on different levels and take different amounts of suffocation damage. So it's not a kind of perfect efficiency kind of farm, but it's been very useful. This is only like half of the stuff that I've managed to collect so far. And I've also gotten a couple of useful pieces of rare loot that if we go back home, I'll show off some of that to you. But I have a few stories and different things I want to talk about, and so I think I'm going to try to, as I build more of the walls and the ceiling of this place, try to go through a few other stories. So we're going to have some story time. And yeah, I left the sign back here. It says, maintenance area only. Please go around front. Basically, I don't want people to mess with the redstone because it took a long time to set up and would be easy to kind of screw things up. And so I'm hoping people will follow instructions. I'm going to leave some signs and books when I get out there. But I guess let's grab all of this stuff as well as some more of that. Yeah, that should be good. I'll meet you guys up top and start going into story time. In one of my previous videos, I don't remember if it was an exploration and tactics or doing some caving here on the fan server, but basically I found a mine shaft that was like down at the bedrock level, like all the way down at the bottom of the world, and was saying that I don't remember seeing one that was that far down, and I wondered if people had seen one before. And if I remember to actually link it in the video, I will. A user, I think it was Spazzy the Geek, is that his name? Sent me a screenshot of a mine shaft that he found that is way deep in the bedrock. Like the ceiling timbers of the mine shaft like have bedrock in them, so it must be down at like levels 3 to 5 in the world. And so that's like as low of a structure as I've ever seen before in Minecraft. And so I thought that was pretty cool. All right, this little bit of redstone I'm going to have to build around. And so let me think for a moment about what the right way to do this is. I think let's kind of come back to this for the moment. I don't want to deal with it, and so I'm just going to move over to right here. Yes, and we'll just continue building the wall over here. I could do that when I have more brain power. So that was pretty cool. I also mentioned, I included a clip of live streaming earlier today on the fan server. In addition to live streaming the fan server, the other night I got pulled into another fun live stream group event that Berg had organized, which was speed challenges, kind of speed challenge duels, where a number of people were live streaming and we would all do the same speed challenge on the same seed and talk to each other in the Skype call as we were doing it. And it was pretty fun. We only did a couple of challenges, or I was only there for a couple of challenges. I'm not sure if they might have done one or two before I got there. And, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And yeah, we all kind of enjoy that speed challenge format where you have multiple people on the same, seed trying to accomplish the same goal. You saw me and Kurt J. Mack do it recently with the daylight sensor. That was actually one of the speed challenges we did in Berg's stream. And then I had the challenge idea of doing a sticky piston, which seems like it would take some time because you need to get slime balls, which probably involves going to a swamp at night, and you need to get some redstone. And so I thought that was going to be an appropriate length speed challenge, and then it turns out that we ended up doing it twice, and both times we spawned right next to a desert, and the desert had a surface dungeon, and inside the surface dungeon was a piece of redstone and some iron. And so the only hard thing to get was the slime ball. And so it was kind of funny because everyone's just like waiting for night to come in the swamp to see who could be the first to kill a slime. And so it wasn't particularly kind of technically exciting in terms of the speed challenge goal. All right, I'm still right. Let's go ahead and do like that. And I'm just going to build the wall around this extra bit of redstone that's jutting out over here. But in any case, I could see myself doing some more of that in the future, kind of like live streaming some speed challenges with multiple people. And in fact, we had an idea a while ago that sometime over the next weeks I will try to move forward with for something to do with that. But you'll hear about that in due time. So let's see. I had some other stories to tell as well. Some real life stories. This time, not about me, but about friends of mine. How are we doing? Yeah, we still got some sunlight. So long as the sun is still shining, I feel like it's safe to be working on the outside of this thing. But once the sun goes down, it gets very dark inside here. It's already starting to get dark in some portions of this. But yeah, once a skeleton spawns in here, he's just going to shoot me and I'm going to fall into the ocean. And so when it becomes nighttime, we'll go down and see what the rates on the trap are. Actually, I'm about to run out of wooden planks. And so that's going to cut our building short. We'll have to go chop down some more jungle trees as well. So real life stories. A good friend of mine had something kind of awful happen to him this past week. He was in the kitchen making, I forget, it was some kind of steak dish. Maybe like broiling a steak or something. And so it has like a big frying pan that you could either like cook things on the stovetop in or just put in the oven. And let's see, how did I do this before? Because there's like two different heights. And so I need a wall. Yeah, I still need this wall this high to make sure any mobs who spawn over here can't walk out. And also to make sure that we're blocking out kind of like sunlight from the side. All right, but I'm out of wood anyway. All right, we will continue the story as we chop down a tree. And so in any case, he's cooking up a steak that he'd had in a frying pan, and the steak and frying pan had all been together in the oven. And if you just have like a frying pan on the stovetop, I don't know if it's like a cast iron skillet or exactly what it was, but the pan has, the handle is metal as well on this particular pan, but it's like two different types of metals. And so if you just had it on the stovetop, the heat from the stovetop doesn't get conducted over to the metal handle portion. And so you can, just kind of like, whoa. Maybe I need to pay a little bit of attention as I get myself onto this tree, and then I can continue. So you can just, pick it up with your hand when it's on the stovetop. But he'd had it in the oven, and so when he took it out of the oven, of course, he just used, what do you call it, an oven mitt? The hand covering you use when you're taking stuff out of the oven to make sure your hand doesn't get burnt. but then was doing some like finishing touches on the stovetop, and I guess something started to not catch fire, but just kind of like smoke, and set off the smoke detector or smoke alarm in his kitchen. And I know because it's been like when the alarm goes off, it's happened to me as well. And whenever that happens, like you get really frazzled and you want to, like get the sound to go away because it's really loud and it's beeping at you or whatever. And so he just wanted to get rid of the source of the smoke, and so he wanted to put the frying pan in the sink in order to put some water on it to, get the heat off and get the smoke out. And so he picks up the frying pan and puts it in the sink. Well, he was no longer wearing the oven mitt, and it took him just a moment before he realized, it takes you a moment sometimes in those situations before you realize that your hand is getting burned. And he burned up his hand, something somewhat fierce. There's actually kind of like a pattern on the handle of the skillet, just in terms of like how the metal is shaped or whatever, and has like, I don't know, the maker insignia on it or something. And on the palm of his hand, he like actually like burnt in a little bit of that. And I just saw him today or yesterday. We went out to dinner last night, and that was a few days ago that he actually did it. But he had to like put his hand in an ice pack, and fortunately, despite the fact he's a software engineer like me, or like I was. I don't know what I call myself right now since I'm not currently working and out of job. But he does lots of working with his hands. He does lots of like woodworking and building in his garage with power tools and different things. And so he has like calluses on a lot of his hands and fingers, and they actually protected him a bit from the burn, but like right in the middle of the palm of his hand, the meat of his hand, really got burnt up, and so there's like a big blister there or whatever, and it was been painful for the past few days, and so I felt really bad for him. But at the same time, it reminded me of, I think, the only time I have ever burned myself badly on my hand was a time when I was very young. I'm just going to let some more saplings drop because I like collecting extra jungle saplings, because sometimes you get a smallish jungle tree that doesn't drop many, and it's good to have extras. When I was like, I don't know, like 6 years old or something, we were making popcorn in a popcorn maker. And I guess nowadays, like, you tend to like make it in the microwave. This might have been like before we had microwave, or before we had a microwave, not maybe before there were microwave ovens. I don't know. This was around, if I was 6 years old, it would have been like 1982 or something. I don't know when microwave ovens started becoming household kind of things. But as a result, if you wanted to make popcorn, oftentimes you would make it in a popcorn maker, which was like a big thing that you like put some cooking oil and you put the popcorn kernels in. And the one we had, it was big, and it was, like metal, and it got hot when it was cooking those popcorns. And we'd made some popcorns, and like a piece of popcorn had ended up under the little popcorn cooker thing. Because it wasn't a stovetop cooker, it was like a separate standalone device that you plugged in. And, alright, that's a good amount of jungle saplings. Oh, I guess I have been collecting a whole bunch of them already. I need not worry. I'll continue telling my story away from the noisy chickens. And I was just a little kid, and there was a piece of popcorn that had fallen underneath the popcorn maker, and I wanted to eat it. And so I went and I reached in under the popcorn maker with my hand, and I grabbed the popcorn, and it burned the top of my hand. That was, like 25 or 30 years ago, and I still have a tiny bit of a scar on the back of my left hand where I burned my hand on the popcorn maker. Good night, Big Gun. Haven't been keeping all that well up with the chat. The Bed Whisperer. Is he talking about real life, or is he talking about in-game? I don't know if people want to sleep away the night. I guess we'll find out if he leaves the game shortly. Yeah, I burned my hand something fierce. Ran it under water, but it was the same kind of thing that, like, the back of my hand, like, swelled up, and I had, like, a big blister there, and it took a long time to heal. And, yeah, I think never really fully healed. I still have a tiny little mark on the back of the knuckle of my third finger from back when I was a kid and severely burned my hand. Did that tree already just grow? That tree already just grew. I didn't even notice. It probably happened right in front of me. I was actually standing here earlier today, and I just walked... Oops, I almost just walked over the melons. I was just walking back from the chickens, and walked back this way, and I got to, like, right here, and the tree grew, And so it almost like grew right up through me. I don't know if that happens, if you end up like taking damage and get suffocated inside the tree. Hasn't happened to me yet with a big jungle tree, but that would be kind of scary. In any case, since it is nighttime and there's only a couple of people on, why don't we go ahead. With a couple of people on, it's still the case the rates are not good. The rates get really good when you're the only person on, because then mobs, pretty much the only place they spawn is inside the trap up here. But with other people on, there's usually plenty of places for mobs to spawn. But we'll see if we get a decent drop rate while I'm kind of standing here. Yeah, it seems like it's not bad, even with a couple of people on. Let's see. I thought I had another story that I wanted to tell as well. I talked about that. Oh yeah, finally, one other friend. I was out to dinner with a group of friends last night, and this friend of mine, he's been living in this house that's kind of an interesting location, I guess. He's been living there for a couple of years, and he's just been renting, and he knew when he moved in that it wasn't going to be forever, but basically the house that he's in, alright, yeah, it's definitely the case that the rates are not very good. I'll be curious to see if Big Gun logs off if all of a sudden the rates increase. The house that he was living in, it's kind of in an area of the suburbs where there's a number of housing developments across kind of this main road. And so there'll be like a housing development on the left that you can turn in, and a housing development on the right that you can turn in, and a housing development on the left that you can turn in. And then you go down a little ways, and then there's just his house that's up against the road. And it's got a huge kind of plot of land that's undeveloped kind of behind it. And yeah, it's kind of like an old house that had been there for a while, and now people are kind of like moving in, and land developers are turning it into, more housing developments that's over there. And so he knew when he was moving in that at some point the owner who actually owned this house was going to be selling it to some land developers who were going to build a housing development there. And so in any case, it was just like a week or so ago that he got the call that the house is scheduled for demolition, and so he needs to move out by next month because they're going to tear down the house and put in a whole development back over in that section where he's at. But as a result, I thought it was funny. He, asked the house developers or whatever, if there was going to be any kind of inspection on checkout, and the house developer said, probably not, because, they're just going to demolish the house. And so he says everyone he's told has asked him, are you going to have like a big party the weekend you move out and like people are going to destroy the house? And he said, no, I'm not actually planning on it, but it's funny that everybody brings that up. And it would be kind of fun to like go in with a foobar and just like take down the walls or do something like that. But I don't know that he's actually going to do that. And I also don't know what the legal implications of that would be. I don't know if, like insurance liability for like the people who actually own the house. One of the things you'll notice here in the mob farm, I put obsidian walls right around the area where the mobs fall through, because it is the case one time that I was here this was here, and I didn't have this floor here, and so I was standing kind of further below, and a skeleton somehow managed to see down diagonally at me and shoot an arrow at me, and he hit a creeper, and a creeper exploded and exploded the whole trap in this area. And so I thought putting the obsidian here would absorb most of the explosion if that happened to happen again. I don't think it can now, because I think with this little half slab area, it's never the case that the skeletons can see you when you're down here. And so I think it's going to work okay. In any case, the way this is hooked up, you have to be standing on the stone slab to run the pistons that push things back and forth that causes the mobs to fall. And there's a very important reason for that I discovered the hard way. If you're ever going to build a trap like this, make sure the entire square of the trap is contained within a single chunk. If you don't, you will be very, very sad, like I was. I guess actually, yeah, the sun's about to rise. The moon's going to be going down. Let's go ahead and take a look from the side, for those of you who may not have been here from the previous video. And I can just quickly go over the design and then tell you what's wrong with it. That's a huge design flaw that I cannot correct. So basically, if you leave pistons running, let me get up to where we can actually see what's going on, and then I'll talk about it. Oh, and I see like a creeper right on the side. A skeleton might shoot me off before I get here. Hello, creeper. I'm far enough away that you cannot jump down to me, but you were still scary as all get out. Alright, these guys, the creeper just took a dive down to there. Alright, here we can see the design of the trap. There's these big squares that have alternating wooden planks, And this zombie is going to be loud, so let's get rid of him. Goodbye, zombie. It was nice knowing you. Actually, that's a lie. It wasn't nice, and I didn't really get to know you. Yeah, so we've got planks and soul sand, and then there's rows of pistons on both sides, and the pistons just push it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And as it moves one block back and forth, the monsters sink into the soul sand, and then they sink through to the next level. And so they just fall until they fall into the water that puts them down the chute in the middle. So that's the design. The problem is there's a chunk boundary that runs right through the middle of this. And so if you leave these pistons on, pushing back and forth, and then you go walk away, say you have a mining outpost right over there that you live in, and you go walk away and you leave the pistons pushing, what happens is you might happen to walk just far enough away that one chunk unloads while the other chunk is still loaded, and the other chunk might have a redstone repeater that's still active that causes the pistons to push and pushes blocks out into the other unloaded chunk. And what happens to those blocks? I'll tell you what happens to those blocks. They disappear from existence. And not only that, but if you also happen to walk out of the loaded chunk as the piston is extending or retracting, the pistons themselves disappear from existence. So the trap wasn't working one day, and I came back, and I discovered that in a whole lot of sections, there were 2 rows of soul sand right together, and the whole thing was one thing shorter, and there were pistons missing on the side. And then I discovered it was because the chunks got unloaded as the pistons were running. And so as a result, I ended up rewiring a whole lot of the redstone to try to make it idiot-proof, so that I or anybody else that's here can't screw it up the way that I did. And so as a result, I put in that stone pressure pad, and so unless you're standing on the pressure plate, the trap can't be running, and so the moment that you try to move away, it just goes and it turns itself off. So I can't suffer that particular fault anymore. And yeah, I don't know if that's kind of a glitch or a by design thing. It's definitely, there's no good solution for, you know, the Mojang folks in terms of what would be good behavior to do when you're pushing pistons, pushing blocks out of loaded chunks. Yeah, I figured there were still 1 or 2 zombies up on some of the levels that I didn't see. So we're just kind of clearing out the rest of the mobs who are in the trap right now. Yeah, but in any case, that is something I did not take into account when I first built this thing. And so just as a warning for anyone who wants to use this design or a similar design that involves lots of pistons and you're going to be playing on a multiplayer server, definitely put all of the pistons inside a single chunk if you can, so you don't have to worry about them loading, partially unloading, and then having blocks disappear, because it took me hours to fix that. And if it happened again, now that I'm like putting the walls and the roof on, it would take even more hours to fix. Alright, I've been kind of rambling. We've seen enough of the mob trap for now. I'll try to show it in action if I can when there's actually nobody on, because the rates actually are pretty decent. And let's see, I'm going to check on how long I've been babbling today, and see if there's any other things we need to do today, or if it'll have to be in a future episode. Alright, it turns out that now I'm the only person on the server, and it has just turned nighttime. And so I want to see if we're going to get some better drop rates right now. And I might want to move the chicken farm just a few blocks over in that direction. Because if you are going to have to stand here while the mobs are falling down, it's kind of annoying to have the chickens kind of within audio range. But yes, this is much better in terms of mob rates kind of coming down. It seems like, you know, every 1 or 2 seconds we've got another mob falling down. And so that's pretty good. I don't have any kind of automatic killing mechanism, and so I've just been, you know, using my diamond sword to finish them up. Like I said, they're taking variable amounts of fall damage, and so that's another one of the potential design flaws or criticisms with this particular trap. Obviously, you can bring over some damage potions or some healing potions, and I've still been thinking about a way to try to separate out the creepers, in which case then we could just hit the skeletons and the zombies with healing potions, and then put the creepers over in a different chute, and then be able to hit them with damage potions, and then as a result you could just kind of let the mobs build up, and then hit a bunch of them with a damage potion, and that's another way that you could kind of kill off all the mobs without having to use up swords or different things or punch them to death. But yeah, I just wanted to show off that it does work a bit better when you're the only person who's currently logged into the server. Although the rates still are not fantastic, it's definitely the case that it takes a long time for mobs to make it all the way from the top down to the bottom. And so that is kind of the main flaw in this type of design. If you compare it to the designs where mobs immediately get pushed off of pistons and die, like you saw in a recent Etho video, perhaps, if you watch Etho, or in my exploration and tactics world with the piston design that I have out in the mushroom biome. Those are ones where a mob basically spawns and then immediately gets pushed off and falls to their death. And so those work a whole lot faster. But I think if I look up here, yeah, we've got like 20 mobs who are flowing through the system right now or something. I can see next to the E, up in the top left on the F3 screen, that shows you how many entities are kind of within your field of view. The little frustum that you're cutting out. And yeah, so I've used this actually to get up to level 30 a few times already, and enchant a few books. And so that's going to be good to set up some gifts that I want to give other people on the server. And all the eggs that I'm collecting will be useful also for potential pranks on the server, I think. Yeah, I was hoping by now to already be doing more interactions with people on the server. Definitely had a fun time with live streaming with Highboy earlier today, but I hope that in future videos you will see me moving into town and actually building something and living amongst other people on the server. But yeah, it ended up taking me longer to finish off this particular build than I thought it was going to, and so that'll probably go into next week. But future Minecraft fan server videos that you see me in hopefully will be me trying to settle down in town and meet some more people, because there's a lot of great people on the server, and I've only managed to meet about half of them at this point. So, yeah, I guess at this point, this would be a good place to go ahead and just kind of call it an episode. Once again, these chickens are going to be too loud. 1 million views is just amazing. I'm thankful, I'm humbled, and yeah, I think back in maybe Exploration 37 of the original Exploration and Tactics from like a couple of years ago was a kind of big review episode that I did about how far we had come at that point. It was one of the few times I've kind of looked back, and I think back then, or perhaps it was in a different video, but I think it might have been back then that I said, you know, here's the deal. I'll keep making videos if you guys keep watching them. And yeah, it's been going like that for 2 years, and hopefully it'll keep on going. I hope I've been entertaining you. Hope you guys have been enjoying it. Hope you guys are having a great day. I will see you again soon. And I have just the screenshot to finish off today's episode. Woohoo!